Welcome, everyone. We'll give other attendees a couple of minutes to start. We are excited to have you here on National Grammar Day. I see we have someone from New York City. If you guys want to tell us where are you guys joining from? Love it. We see Tucson, Chicago. I'm in Chicago too. Great.
Atlanta.
I see a lot. Virginia, North Carolina. Welcome, everyone. Um, Very rainy Seattle. I'm from very windy Chicago. Yes, a lot of people from all over the country. Welcome, Big Apple. Greetings. South Jersey, Bolivia. We have ATL.
Woohoo.
Great. So we are going to get started. Welcome, everyone. We're excited to have you here. Thank you for joining our Grammar Day webinar. I'll be introducing you to your speaker today, Jennifer Recio Lebedev. She has over 25 years of English language teaching experience. Her early career included classroom instruction in Moscow, Boston, as well as teacher training, program administration, and in-house publication. She has been online since 2007, offering live instruction and creating a range of digital content. Her YouTube channel, English with Jennifer, has over 1 million subscribers and 100 million views to date. She is also a frequent conference and was on Pearson's writing teams for Vocabulary Power, Next Generation Grammar, for which she also served as the grammar coach. Her blog for teachers launched 2008 and was recognized with an Eddie Award 2010. And in November of 2022, Jennifer published a collection of personal reflections entitled Being a YouTuber, One Creator's Bumpy Road to 1 Million Subscribers. And she has recently embarked on a speaking journey focused on building a healthy learner mindset. So she definitely has a lot to teach us today. We're excited to have her here. Quick announcement. We'll be sharing a follow-up email by the end of this week or early next week that will include the webinar recording, attendance certificates, and a really cool teacher takeaways PDF that Jennifer prepared for you guys, and you can use right away in your classroom with tips from what she'll be sharing with you in this session. So we appreciate you taking the time to celebrate grammar with us, and hope you find this session valuable. All yours, Jennifer.
Okay. Let me work my magic and see if I can share my screen. How's that for everyone?
Yep.
Lana Murphy already raised a hand. Maybe an important question. Are we good to go? Give me a thumbs up if you can see me well and hear me well. Looks like Brian says great.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Sarah Davila, see you. Woohoo! Here we go, guys. Well, it is afternoon for me. Good afternoon, but good morning, good evening. Greetings wherever you are, and welcome to Grammar Day 2026. I'm very excited to celebrate with you. If you're already feeling some love for grammar, go ahead, drop a heart in the chat. I hope we have some grammar lovers here. I hope we all have lots of love. If not so much for grammar, come on, for teaching, for the amazing profession that we are part of. We can put a heart in the chat for that, for all the students that we are so privileged to serve, right? I am Jennifer Recio Lebedev. See if I can do, there we are. And for the next 45 minutes or so, we'll be celebrating grammar as a skill in the digital age. Right? Now, I know when you love someone, love something, it can be a bumpy road. It's not always smooth sailing, is it? So, within our 45 minutes, we'll be discussing the harm of limiting beliefs, the purpose of studying grammar, the challenges of learning and teaching grammar. We'll draw some conclusions. I'd love to share some tips and teaching ideas, and I'll leave you with some parting wisdom. Don't go away because the parting wisdom is probably the best. All right. If that sounds like a good plan, you could give me a thumbs up or just say, let's go. Let's go. I do believe Daniela said that you will get the link to the recording. So if this goes by and you're like, oh, I should have grabbed a screenshot, you will get the link to the recording. Okay. Well, guys, if you know anything about me, you probably know that I post on YouTube. I've been there since 2007. Most of my videos, I'd say, are probably grammar because I love grammar. But briefly, I'm going to share another passion of mine. Can you guess? Music. Anyone else play? I've been playing the piano since I was a little girl. And I had a piano teacher come to my house every week up until I graduated from high school. Her name was Sue. I love Sue. She taught me a lot, but I never really learned to perform in front of an audience or really anyone. At school, yes, they knew I played. So every so often they'd ask me to play for the Christmas concert, for choir, something. And I'll tell you, every time I went on stage, my knees wobbled, my hands would shake, and it was awful. Even playing for my friends would make me nervous. But several years back, I decided to take piano lessons again because I wanted to regain my skills and I wanted to stay motivated to learn new pieces. But when my current piano teacher found out about my performance anxiety, he wanted to help me. So first, he encouraged me to play for these contractors who were working in my home. We'd been doing this whole house renovation, so I had contractors in my home days on end, weeks, months. And my piano teacher said, just sit down, don't say anything, and play. It made me so nervous, but I did it. I played this Gershwin piece, and all work stopped. The hammering, the drilling, everything. And they all listened. One guy even FaceTimed his wife and his young son so that they could listen along. It was really sweet. Well, then came the bigger challenge. My piano teacher invited me to play in the spring recital in town. And up to then, I had it in my mind. I could not perform. And I repeated familiar lines to myself and to others. I'd say, oh, I'm so bad at performing. I can't play for other people. I get too nervous to play. I'm not that kind of piano player. I just play quietly in my home. Everything I said limited myself and my potential, my ability to perform music. But in 2023, I went on stage. I walked on stage and I gave my first piano recital at the age of 51. And I continue to perform each year in the spring recital. And I still get nervous, but I'm getting better. I'm getting better. Now that I'm talking and thinking differently about myself and my music, I'm able to perform better. Does this make you wonder, perhaps just a little, how much more our students would be capable of if they let go of their anxiety, their distaste, and any kind of limiting belief when it comes to studying and using grammar? Just think about it for a moment. To be free of limiting beliefs. What kind of limiting beliefs have you observed? What have you heard, or just what have you observed? What do you know they've either said or it's in their mind? Like I've heard, oh, I'm bad at grammar. Put it in the chat. What limiting beliefs, what negative talk have you heard from students? Thank you for the applause. I can't do it. Oh, okay. Oh, look at they're coming because you guys know, you know this is there, right? We'll come back and we'll read some more in a moment. I see limiting beliefs in two types. There's the negative self-talk, and it starts with I or my. I don't know grammar. I can't remember all the rules. And then there's negative ideas about grammar. Grammar's boring. It's not really that important, right? And it's too hard. No, not more grammar. It's difficult. I'm old. I can't learn. It's difficult. It's too hard, teacher. Lots of negative talk, either about themselves or about the subject matter content, right? As teachers, it's our responsibility. We share this responsibility to challenge our students' limiting beliefs, and we need to help them unlock their potential. It's about building a healthy learner mindset in two main ways. First, it's about addressing how they think about themselves and their abilities. I have a few tips for that. How can we do that? How about positive affirmations, right? Not because it's a trend right now, but because it's a tool. It doesn't have to be a set of empty words. It could be words said with emotion, positive emotion, so that these replace the negative thoughts. I've been more intentional about this on social media over the past year or so. Sometimes I'll share a positive affirmation as a static post, or I might share it through videos. You'll get the teacher takeaway PDF, and I share a link to one of my playlists for learner mindset. I have morning and evening affirmations for learners, short and long versions. So you can use them as they are, or let my affirmations inspire yours. You and your students can write them together. How many of you are using affirmations? Right? If I catch negative self-talk in a live lesson, I try to nip it in the bud. So what you do is once they start saying, "Oh, my grammar's so bad," be like, "No, my grammar's getting better. I make so many mistakes. I learn from my mistakes. This is so hard. I'm getting better. I'm learning with each class, with each day," right? Just try to find that positive statement to empower them to replace that negative self-talk, right? Good. Someone else, Diana Rose, thank you for using those positive affirmations. If you're not doing it already, teach the students to celebrate the small wins, right? We give compliments, be more intentional about it. I do this in YouTube comments after a grammar video. If someone's putting a comment there and they're using the grammar that we were studying in the video, I compliment them, saying like, "Nice use of inversion, super sentence structure." Teach them to celebrate their small wins, knowing that it's step by step to get where they want to go. And a third tip is to integrate uplifting content. Uplifting content. Why not? Not every lesson, but when you find that natural opportunity to integrate uplifting content, you can do that because the meaningful context makes the target language more memorable, and the positive message makes the lesson experience more positive. In a recent grammar video, Never Have I Ever, that was the thumbnail, and I went back to 2011 at a time when I was cyberbullied during this YouTube contest. And I retold the story, and I wanted to focus on the theme of resilience. So this was the context I used to teach inversion with negative adverbs. I told the story and included statements like this: "Never had I come so close to quitting," because the cyberbullying was awful. "Little do some people realize how hurtful words can be. Only when I look back do I realize how the contest made me stronger. Or only if you forgive people can you truly be happy," right? The language becomes more meaningful and more memorable. What you can do if you want to use the video as a jumping off point, you could. Or tap into your own memories. Do you have a time where you faced adversity, found resilience, and overcame it? You could share your examples using inversion with negative adverbs. Your examples, you're their teacher. You would inspire them that you overcame adversity, finding resilience. And you can guess what's coming then in the production phase of a grammar lesson? They could write about a time when they found resilience in the face of adversity and start writing their own statements like these. Imagine. Yes. Sarah Starlin, you said, "I've been known to start my grammar segment." Grammar groove. Yes. Share the excitement. Share the Make it personal, make it memorable. That's what it is about, right? Okay, so building a healthier learner mindset is about being positive and using uplifting content. We also need to address how they think about grammar. If they're thinking, "Oh, grammar is boring," no, we don't have to tell them, we have to show them. Grammar is not boring if the material is engaging, if the presentation is clear and relatable, if the practice is interesting and meaningful. And I aspired to do this in another grammar video when I targeted modals for upper level students. Lots to go on with modals, right? So I had a long video for upper level students. So we'd go over modals, perfects, passives, progressives, and I wanted to reinforce the degrees of certainty and necessity, making sure they felt confident about those degrees. When it came time to do charts, I didn't just give them the chart. I wanted them to organize the information. And I tried to make it interesting, not this time by sharing a personal story. I made up a story with a little bit of help from ChatGPT. And we told the story about this group of people, friends, 10 years out from high school. They go on this weekend trip at a countryside inn, and their keepsakes from high school all go missing. And there's room for speculation now. What's happening? What could be happening? Who could have taken all this stuff? Maybe they may not be missing. They could be misplaced. So I don't feel that we had boring grammar charts. We had interactive exercises to form those charts, and the language was directly taken from the story that we were reading. So I wanted to make it engaging, interesting, meaningful, memorable. And again, in your teacher takeaway PDF, you'll get a link to some of these resources. Philippe, I see your students like to hear about your authentic experience and talk about theirs, not just the textbook lessons. There's lots of good stuff in a textbook lesson or in a video, for example, you find on YouTube, but that's a jumping off point. How can you relate to it? So yes, if you can personalize it in some way, especially as you move into production, it will be more memorable, meaningful. That's the goal here, right? Well, some say, yeah, but it's really not that important. I just want to communicate and talk, conversation, pronunciation, grammar. We somehow need to convey that structure and communication are like this. How could we communicate effectively without any structure, right? How many of you use sentence scrambles? Either in a book, it could be an online interactive exercise. I've done this in videos. Unscramble the sentence. Yeah, because you see the words all mixed up, it doesn't make sense. If we spoke like this, oh my gosh, we'd be so lost. We have to unscramble the words and put them in a proper structure, something that's standard and recognizable. Patterns and understanding also go like this. Without standard recognizable patterns, we'd be confused. We can show them how important grammar is. Just break up the patterns and people will start to be confused. Why? Because there isn't the standard grammar in place, right? Martina says, I like to unscramble the sentences. Structure is key. Yes, how we can teach syntax this way. The onus is on us, guys. We're the teachers to explain the uses of grammar, right? Not in a boring way, but in a meaningful, memorable, relatable way. What's the purpose? What's the value? We need their buy-in. How is this grammar going to help them communicate? Because that is the goal. Let's put that big word in the chat multiple times. Communicate, communicate. The goal is communication. How is this grammar structure that we're practicing today going to help them in communication? Communication, that's the goal. We need to be clear on the purpose of studying and teaching grammar, are we? We're going to take a quick poll. Let's get the first poll up there. Is direct study of grammar necessary for language learners? What do you think? Is direct study of grammar necessary? You guys are English teachers. Oh, but I knew there would be some people choosing that other option. It does depend, doesn't it? How much? It depends. Direct study. Do we need it? Well, I think we're starting to see yes is winning, but it depends is up there. We have some naysayers there. 3%. Interesting. We can come back to results soon. Okay. Well, let's address a myth here. Okay. See if I can get the next slide going. There we go. Is direct study necessary? You have the poll there. You're going to see the results. Oh, you can go ahead and share the results. Are we done? Or we can come back some more. We're seeing an overwhelming yes so far, but it depends. Okay, let's address this. Let's address this. Okay, there's a myth. Some people are saying, I don't have to study grammar. I can just pick it up. Mm. I read a lot, I listen, podcasts, movies. I pick it up and I have enough to communicate all that I need, right? Well, we need to acknowledge, yes, there's definitely benefit from regular exposure to good models, but we need to recognize some truths. We need to recognize some truths. What's needed? Not perfection, but accuracy. Students don't need perfect grammar, but they need high enough accuracy to avoid miscommunication. Do you know, I studied Russian in college and I still take lessons when possible today with a nice Ukrainian person. We have an exchange. She helps me with Russian, I help her with English, and it's all good. I have a sufficient amount of grammar and vocabulary to communicate a lot. Far away from perfect. I need to gain more accuracy, but I'm quite comfortable. I only started Spanish 2, 3 years ago, so I'm still struggling to get the accuracy, even with past tense verbs. My endings are quite hit or miss right now. And I know that I need to get that accuracy because if I don't, here's truth two. There's a danger of fossilization. Without correction and feedback and guided practice, the incorrect patterns, the non-standard patterns could get fossilized. And now that I'm studying Spanish, understand some of the mistakes that my Spanish-speaking students are making. I have one private student, she's quite advanced, quite proficient. She didn't have a lot of formal study of English earlier. And I still catch her doing things like people was, people is. And I get it now, right? Who remembers, you know the difference. If those of you who speak Spanish, probably more than I do, but la gente is singular. So I am raising her awareness and she's starting to catch herself because this pattern has been fossilized for her. She'll say people is, people was, and we need to change that to people were, people are. So with the guided practice now, it's helping because truth three is we need to develop awareness. Direct study of grammar allows students to become aware of common mistakes so that they can self-correct. Noticing tasks that we do in the context of a formal grammar lesson reinforce standard patterns in a way that passive listening in a conversation simply cannot, right? So, what is the purpose of studying grammar? What would you say is the purpose? Here's one answer. Grammar is the backbone. It's the backbone of language, right? I'm not the first to say that, but I love that comparison. We need the structure to support and organize our ideas. Why? Because grammar facilitates accuracy and clarity. The ultimate goal here is that C word, communication, to communicate confidently and effectively. I mean, think about it. Is there any student who doesn't wish to communicate confidently and effectively? I don't know one. Do we share the results here? Let's see. Did everyone see the results? Interesting. Predominantly yes, but it depends. I agree. Do you everyone see the results? Daniela can take care of that. Yes? Philip is saying giving students analytical framework for studying grammar empowers them. I love that word. Empowers them to continue learning on their own. I said develop awareness to self-correct. Our ultimate goal is so that they don't need us so much, right? We're guiding them to that confidence that they need. I love Lori. Lori, I love what you said. Grammar has meaning. It sure does. It sure does, right? The ultimate goal is communication because knowing grammar, it's certainly not about memorizing rules and terms. You know, if people mess up terminology, present participle, gerund, as long as you know how to use those ing forms, that's more important, in my opinion. It's not about memorizing rules and charts and terms. What it is about, it's about communication, the confidence to communicate across situations with different audiences. Because knowing grammar is about being able to put structures and standard patterns into use in order to communicate confidently and effectively. Confidently and effectively. Notice I didn't say perfectly, right? We're not going to put that word up there because should anyone's goal really to have perfect English, perfect grammar? I want to have perfect English, perfect grammar, perfect something. We all make mistakes, don't we? Right? Even so-called grammar experts, everyone makes mistakes. But then I have a question for you. Where do we draw the line between good and bad grammar? You can put some thought into that. Can we really use those terms, good grammar, bad grammar? Oh, I love that, Lori. And I love this unintelligibility. When it causes confusion, yes, yes. It is not about having perfect grammar. Good grammar does not mean perfect grammar, right? I say it's about recognizing when communication is effective and when it isn't, when it's effective and when it isn't. And I'm going to add to that and say, I also think it's about being seen, heard, and understood as you wish to be. Think about that. So if you want to come across as articulate and professional, sloppy grammar isn't going to serve you well, but accurate grammar will, right? At the same time, if you use overly formal grammar with a lot of academic vocabulary all the time, you're not going to be very relatable, are you? And that's not going to help in any profession. So it's about being effective, but also being seen, heard, and as you wish to be, being appropriate. How do you want to be received, right? When you communicate. Standard grammar is articulate communication. You want to be articulate. I used to say, like, it's fine to have deviations, but I teach my students standard grammar is going to serve you best in the majority of situations, in the greatest number of situations. And that's why these patterns will serve you well. That's why I'm teaching these. You can say that, okay, it's okay to use some of those other patterns, but you need to have awareness of which ones are standard because those will serve you best in the greatest number of situations. And it's okay to have variations, though. But the goal really is to have high accuracy, consistent clarity, and strong control over how your speech is being received. How are your words going to land? There is that element of is it appropriate or not? Not just confident, effective, accurate, but also appropriate. We could have a whole discussion on code switching, but I'd argue people who know how to code switch, they have mastery. They know how to adjust their language, right? They know it. Think about the use of contractions. A tip I often give to students when they want to write academically or for professional purposes is to be consistent and be mindful. What tone are you going for? Are you trying to be more formal? Use the full forms. Do you want to come across as more conversational, perhaps more relatable? Use the contractions. So something as small as full forms versus short forms plays a role in effective communication. Both forms are correct, both forms are accurate, but how do you want your words to land? Yes. Lee's also saying yes in those modals, how one is received. Modals empower you. How certain do you want to make your statement sound, right? How do you want your words to land? What are you trying to express? So here are two more truths that will help us package a message for learners. Truth one, clear communication is essential in every profession. My son's summer job last summer, he worked at Dunkin' Donuts. For those who don't know, it's a coffee and donut type of shop. From that kind of summer job to a CEO, clear communication is essential in every profession, and so is appropriate. Appropriate communication in every profession. Truth two, confident, effective communicators are valued everywhere, everywhere. Confident, effective communicators are valued. So the message to our learners is that studying grammar is a worthy investment. It is an investment in yourself. Oh, love that. Put a heart up there. Studying grammar is an investment. It's an investment in you, your communication skills. So a quick quiz here. Let's do a quick quiz. Based on what we just discussed, what would you say is the purpose of grammar? Studying grammar, direct study of grammar. I know some of you are still saying, oh, no, or it depends. Well, some degree of direct study. What would be the purpose of that? Some of you might be answering with some humor. I get terminology mixed up sometimes myself. I mean, I know the basics. Sometimes people come up with obscure words, and I have to search that up to make sure I'm giving a correct answer. All right. All right. Most of the answers are coming in. Confident, effective communication. Thank you, Nellie. Confident, most people are saying to communicate accurately, verbally and written. Thank you for saying that, Joyce. Right? It's not just about speaking. When people say, I want to speak well, you want the whole package. Communication is a package. Ensure you intend to communicate is received as you intend. It's about your intention, not just to communicate and get the message across clearly, but again, how do you want it to be received? Yes, communicate effectively, efficiently too, right? You can use a lot of correct grammar structures, but if you're using way too many, it sounds wordy. Is that really how you want to come across? Right? Super. Let's end that poll and share those results. Oops, Danielle, I let you do that on your end. Okay.
I'll stop sharing.
Okay. Oh, it is a worthy investment. I hope you're on board with that idea. I hope you're on board with that idea. Are you on the grammar train with me? All on board. I hope you understand and agree with the idea that grammar is necessary to teach, and students need direct study of grammar to varying degrees, but some is needed. Everyone needs some direct attention to grammar. Some do better with a lot, some do better with less, but some direct attention is needed. So get on board the train. Thank you, Iva. Put choo-choo or say I'm on board. Get on board the grammar train here. So we all know what needs to be done, but what are the challenges? These are the three I came up with. You want to list some more? There are a lot, but let's focus on these three. AI, fast information, information overload. We're on the grammar train, we're going along, but you know what? Things are going to fall across the rails. That's what happens when you're on a journey here. AI, fast information, information overload are our current challenges. Yes? Ah, Sandra's AI makes mistakes often. If I have time, I'll tell you a story about my recent experience with AI. Okay. I see a recent danger as information or being overly independent, right? That's a current danger. Would you agree? Let's get another poll up there because this is important. Let's get the second poll. To what degree should students rely on grammar checks and AI tools? They're so readily available. What do you think? To what degree should students rely on grammar checks and AI tools? You fight with Pilot all the time. Students think AI can solve all their grammar problems. Be independent of the internet. Mm. This is harder to answer, right? I don't know if there's really a correct answer that we could all agree on. There's quite a lot of different results coming in. Okay. As those results are coming in, you might wonder, do I use AI? Sure do. I think we all do to some degree, don't we? Do I teach uses of AI? Yes, I do. And sometimes I give suggested prompts in my video lessons to create more practice, saying if you use this prompt with these vocabulary words, you can gain more practice. Or if we went over pronunciation, saying use this prompt and then put in your own words and you could create a practice text at your level and you can do more oral reading. So I've done prompts in my videos suggesting how you could use tools to extend the practice. And with private students, they can use AI for editing, but first I ask them to write independently. Right? So I have one student, she'll write independently, then she'll go to AI and get suggestions. And in class, we might together look at them side by side and discuss the two versions and talk through what should we change? What could we learn from? Is there a new structure or vocabulary word that she'd like to integrate? And I let it be her decision what to take from the suggestions and put in. If there's something that she doesn't quite understand, we discuss it, and I let her be the decision maker of how to synthesize the two to come up with a final version, because I don't want my students to be overly dependent on AI. I expect a certain level of effort and skill, right? Mm-hmm. It would certainly, though, make no sense to ignore all the possibilities. The benefits of using AI are undeniable, but by now there's been enough discussion to know that there are helpful and harmful uses. There are ethical and unethical uses, right? There, a common view that we embrace today is to see AI as an assistant, but not a replacement. Do you agree with that? Right? Mm-hmm. Jennifer, like your comment? Okay. But here's the question. If we see AI as an assistant, how much should we lean on our assistant? How much should we be doing for ourselves? We need a guiding principle. And I say we can find it here in the value of building language competency, our language competence. right? We'll check the polls now. Daniela, maybe you want to share, right? It is a danger being overly dependent. We can use it as an assistant, not a replacement. Let's teach our students the value of building language competence, language competency. So in terms of language learning, we need to convey to them that confident, effective communication should come from the learner's language competency, not AI. Not AI. AI corrections and suggestions can give a boost of confidence, but our students need to have that foundational skills so that they're not blindly dependent on what AI is telling them to say, right? Or to write. I've listened, most of the self-development books and videos I watch are based on student recommendations. So lately I got into Bob Proctor. Thumbs up or type Bob if you know Bob Proctor's teaching. So I'm watching this seminar and this guy's comment in this Bob Proctor seminar stuck with me. He said that our greatest power as humans is choice, the ability to choose. Choice empowers us. Hold on to that idea. Choice empowers us. Our greatest power is choice. Love that idea. I also love the name Copilot, probably the best. Do you know that? I use ChatGPT, sometimes use Gemini. Copilot's there with Microsoft Word. Out of all the names, I like Copilot because it reminds me that we humans are the pilots in command, right? We can lean on the Copilot. We shouldn't be flying on autopilot, blindly trusting AI to do everything for us, right? We have the last say. We have the last say because we have critical thinking skills. So let's make use of them. We can evaluate information. We can accept or reject suggestions. But the ability to choose comes from some level of confidence of knowing our subject matter, grammar. So again, choice empowers us, but you have to have some confidence of knowing your subject matter. When I see this picture, I think of the movie Sully. Has anyone seen that? Sully, you, you type yes, I've seen it. Good movie. It's the Miracle on the Hudson story where the plane did not crash in the river, it landed on the river. The very experienced pilot tapped into not just his critical thinking skills, his experience, his intuition to land that plane because there was a twin engine failure due to a bird strike. And he landed that plane. He had a human co-pilot and he decided to handle it with his human skills, experience, intuition. He made the right choices confidently to land the plane, and not a single person died in The Miracle on the Hudson. Great movie. Think about that. I'd want Sully as my pilot in command. I wouldn't want AI in that kind of situation, right? So perfection is not the goal, but confident choices, right? Confident execution. Learners should feel confident in their ability to accept or reject suggestions offered by AI. And beyond critical thinking skills, let's talk about what we have because we are an amazing human package. And by the way, when we talk about critical thinking skills, we all have our individually unique way of applying them. Isn't that amazing? What do we have that AI doesn't? Our humanity, our intuition, our five senses, our relationships, our people skills. Woo, what a package. We want to help students learn to put ideas together accurately and appropriately by following standard, acceptable patterns. But that appropriateness that we talked about comes through people skills. As strong communicators, we need to understand how to read a situation, how to gauge what tone is being used, what level of formality is called for. And I say the practiced combination of grammar skills and people skills is something we can offer as part of the classroom experience. How about that, right? Lori's saying they're using AI to write essays, presentations, everything. Yes, we'll talk about that. A related challenge is fast information, isn't it? Oh, it's so much faster, isn't it, Lori? Right? Right? Why labor over any task these days? Well, let's jump back to the 80s. Back in the 80s, folks, I admit I had some cliff notes. Anyone ever have those black and yellow sets of Cliff Notes? I did all the readings, I did every assignment, I did, but I leaned a little bit on the Cliff Notes to review the key points, themes, character descriptions. Cliff Notes were these little pamphlets you could buy at a bookstore that nicely summarized difficult, long literary works, right? AI is even faster. In a matter of seconds, you can get all of that information and more. And it really makes you wonder for our learners, for students today, what's the incentive to do anything slowly when there's a faster alternative? Read a whole book, write a whole essay? Ah, that takes time. Why labor over tasks? I have an answer. How about for the pleasure, for the experience, for the subtleties, and for the mental exercise? You know, last summer I gave my son a copy. I'd read the book Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Thumbs up if you know it, or just write Viktor Frankl and you good book. He read it. He's majoring in psychology at UMass Amherst. Wouldn't you know, that fall in one of his classes, a professor has asked, "Has anyone read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning?" My son was the only one who could put his hand up. Even everyone with their phones with ChatGPT couldn't find out enough fast enough. My son could put his hand up. He knew who Viktor Frankl was, and he knew what logotherapy was. Viktor Frankl is a Holocaust survivor and also a psychiatrist, and he's the founder of logotherapy. Yes. Why labor over any task? Not just for the mental exercise, for the pleasure, for the experience, for the richness, for the expansion of the mind, for growth. My son is studying abroad and he was recently in Poland. He visited Auschwitz and he's very knowledgeable about all the world wars. But I can imagine that having read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning added a layer of richness to his experience when he saw Auschwitz. Why labor over any task? You never know. There's going to be rewards. There will be rewards for that labor. Well, let's make a quick comparison. Math skills with a calculator, right? We all learn to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. It's so much easier with a calculator, right? But we know how to do it. Should our students learn how to put phrases and clauses together? Should they learn how to create subject-verb agreement? Should they learn how to fix parallel structure if it's off? It's easier with AI. We can ask AI to check for these things, but they should know how to do it for themselves, correct? Agreed? So let's talk about a practical approach to proofreading. How about proofreading with language competence? Because it is easier with AI, but we should all be able to do it ourselves. We should all have some understanding of what AI is checking so that we can question the suggestions given. We can be empowered by choice, but we have to have some information and knowledge to do so. So a guiding principle here is to learn to trust yourself and your abilities. Learn to trust yourself and your abilities. There is joy in being competent. There is confidence in mastering a skill. Isn't that amazing? Say that again. There is joy in being competent. There is confidence in mastering a skill. Yes, yes, yes. I was challenged lately, even just the past few days. I had another teacher outside the US on Instagram direct message me with grammar questions and made me doubt myself for a moment because I gave my answer. He was asking about perfect modals in a future context. I'm like, no, future modals, we use these to speculate about the past or to express regret. And he's like, no, but AI says we can use them for the future. And I'm like, do we say by tomorrow I should have finished? By tomorrow I could have finished? I'm like, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm telling you, based on my feeling, my experience, what I know, it's more natural to say it this way, like by tomorrow I'll finish. I should finish. I might finish, but I would not use a perfect modal. I was challenged with this AI information and I'm thinking, is AI right? Am I wrong? No, I was like, I'm Solly. I'm the pilot in command. Like, I'm gonna say it's not wrong what you're saying, but based on what I feel and what I know, I would advise you not to use the perfect modals like that for future predictions, right? It sounds more natural to say by tomorrow I should finish. Okay, so we talked about AI, the danger of being overly dependent, fast information. Here's a third one, information overload. We are overwhelmed by choices today. choices. Last quiz here, last poll. How many YouTube channels do you think there are today in 2026? Let's get a poll up there. Do you know? You guys were quick to answer that. No one's choosing 5 million, are you? You know. You know. Oh my gosh. You guys know. Those answers are coming in. It's crazy, isn't it? Okay, I think we have enough participation to see. Let's end the poll. Well, the answers are coming in, but I think you guys basically know. The overwhelming majority got it right. Danielle, you can share the results. Did you guys know that Google or AI is telling us it's around 115 million channels today? And there are now thousands of English language learning channels, with each creator posting frequently, often for years. I myself have over 1,000 videos, but I've been on since 2007. Now we have AI generated videos. Yes, we do. I'm coming across some of them for English, right? AI generated videos are being posted at a pace that human creators can't really keep up with. So what does this mean for viewers, for learners out there? Lots of choices, lots of teachers, lots of lessons, and lessons with lots of information, packing in lots of information. I'm seeing this kind of trend, right? 50 phrasal verbs in 15 minutes, 500 grammar rules. Believe it or not, I came across a video, 500 grammar rules. I'm not going to say it's ineffective, but I think it's okay to question, is it effective to present 500 grammar rules in a single package? I'm wondering, I need to be careful of this myself, not to pack too much information. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. I mean, are we trying to replicate what AI can produce? It's interesting. Cognitive overload, says Sarah. Yes. I'll tell you something. Here's a bottom line in today's choices out there of what do you watch? What do you use to learn grammar? Experience and qualifications still matter. Where are these resources coming from? Where are the resources coming from? And I'm going to be upfront, quickly say, look, I know I don't have a PhD at the end of my name. I respect all of you who do. There's so many people. I totally respect the education that they have acquired. Do I feel qualified to teach grammar and produce grammar materials? I do. So when I say qualifications matter, I'm meaning, have you studied your subject matter content? Have you invested in professional development? You're all here. I know you'd have. Do you have practical teaching experience? Are you connected to professionals in the field so that you're part of ongoing discussions that raise your awareness of theories, trends, insights, and more? We need to make students aware of this. Where are your lessons coming from? A guiding principle is to seek the value of a human teacher, author, or creator. It's about choosing quality. In today's world, with so much out there and so many choices of resources, choose quality. You want videos produced by human teachers who've done the research, who are presenting information by tapping into their actual teaching or learning experience, and you want books that are written and edited by professionals who've also done the research and have teaching and learning experience. Quality video lessons and quality textbooks go through a process. They are not generated in a matter of seconds by AI. Now, do I sometimes use AI myself for grammar questions? I do. But to research a topic for a video or a blog post, I start taking books off my shelf. I do. I have a number of books, and I wanted to show you. I don't know if I think you can see me, so let me see if I can get on camera. I have a stack of books I wanted to quickly show you where we are. Next Generation Grammar, my lead author, Pamela Vittorio, and we have an appendix, and I still refer to the appendix when I need to quick information. I love the Longman Grammar of Spoken Written English, Biber and Co. If you don't want the heavy version, although it has lots of great information, there's the student version, Student Grammar of Spoken and Written English. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. What if I go like this? There we go. All right, who has that one? The Student Grammar, the Longman Grammar is this one. There you go. Right. And the first one, oi, with my lead author's wonderful appendix there. A gift from a friend was Greenbaum and Quirks. Love this one. A Student's Grammar of the English Language. Love that one. Very useful, very useful. And like a new car in my garage, I have Understanding and Using English Grammar by Azar and Hagen. Azar and Hagen. This is the 6th edition. I'll tell you, across the way there on my bookshelf, I have the 5th, 4th, and 3rd editions over there. Over there. That's how long I've been referring to this book because I trust it. I trust the resources. Right. And I'll also tell you, I have emailed Stacey Hagen herself with some of my grammar questions. And then she starts taking books off her shelf because we're in search of clear, accurate answers, not just for each other, but for our learners. Because the bottom line for us in putting our names on our books or our videos is credibility, reliability, and trustworthiness. And I also put social media on social media for me, likability. I know it's a factor. But those top 3 are so important. And I know that Betty Azar has this in spades too. Credibility, reliability, and trustworthiness. That's why I have so many editions. That's why I'm so happy to have the latest edition. I trust the resource. When I have questions, I know where to turn. Different resources, and I trust them. I trust them all. Okay? Yes. If we have time at the end, I'll put them again in there. Okay? Let's draw some conclusions. Why do we need grammar? I hope after this conversation you understand why we need grammar, because it empowers. It empowers our learners and facilitates confident, effective communication. Keyword of the day, communication. And what's the value of direct study? It's not perfect English, but sufficient competence so that they can communicate accurately and effectively, right? Accuracy, confidence, effectiveness, that's what's important. How can AI tools be used by our learners? In a healthy way. Let's teach healthy uses and make them aware that there's a danger. You don't want to become overly dependent on these tools. What's our role? The role of the teacher? Let's remember that learning grammar can be hindered by myths and limiting beliefs. Remember what we talked about at the beginning. It's our responsibility to raise the awareness of the value of grammar and help them build that healthy learner mindset towards themselves, towards language learning. Do we have to compete with AI? I don't think so. Not if we teach healthy practices and we cultivate this sense of appreciation for language competence, right? Competence comes from study. Study comes from quality resources. And we teachers, we human teachers, can create that quality learning experience. I'm not worried. You know why? AI has information, but we have that and more. We have that and more. We have love, we have our emotions. We can celebrate our love for language learning. We can empathize with our learners because we know the joys and the challenges of language learning. We know them, we've experienced them too, right? And we can teach students to embrace their humanity as their strength. Critical thinking skills, interpersonal skills, creativity, humor, all of that. All of that can be and should be integrated into the language learning experience. And in this way, grammar is not boring. It's meaningful and it's practical and it's empowering. It strengthens our communication and therefore our human experience. And if you want a reminder of just how wonderfully human and relational language experience, language instruction is, please check out a recent blog post. I have an interview with a young teacher, Keita Mulopo from the Congo. It's a beautiful interview. I'm so inspired by his story and what he's doing with his learners. Deeply human, deeply relational. Let's remember how wonderfully we are made as humans, our package. AI has information, we have that and so more, so much more. AI can give us ideas to carry out, but we are the ones who execute. So have fun with the execution. We don't have time to go into this. If there's a little time afterwards, I'll gladly give demonstrations. I just wanted to remind you, bring in the games. There's the if chain game, which is a wonderful grammar game for conditionals. Never have I ever can be used for present perfect versus simple past. I use 20 questions to do verb questions. You could do simple past or present questions, yes, no questions. A lot of fun you can do with grammar. Bring in your stories, like I did with cyberbullying and resilience. Tap into your own stories. Or you can use AI to create some fun stories. Make it meaningful, make it interesting. Personalize the examples. Bring in what you can from the students with some sensitivity. Right? These are just some ways that you can reinforce the grammar and make it memorable. And make it memorable. Okay? On a personal note, I just want to wind down by telling you, I've been on YouTube for 18 plus years, a long time. If I had had use of AI from the beginning, things could have been very different. Who knows? I could have done many things differently, and maybe I would have been as big as Mr. Beast today with an empire. But instead, my journey has been very bumpy with some bumps and messes, and I wouldn't change any of it because it's my journey, my experience, and that's what language learning is too. It's a journey, a life experience, and it is not supposed to be perfect. Let's remember and tell our students too that proficiency is not supposed to be handed to us in a matter of seconds after typing a prompt, right? It's a chain of interactions and experiences. We grow through our learning. We grow through our experience. Yes? Thank you, Diana. Here's the mic drop quote. Whew, studying grammar can expand our learning potential and strengthen our communication with other people. If you ever have a student doubting, why should I learn grammar? Communication. It enhances the human experience. And if Daniela gives me a thumb up, I get to leave you with my final wisdom. Do I have a moment to share my
We do
final?
have a couple of questions in the chat if you have a minute.
I do, but can I just tell you very quickly this meaning of this, guys? Here's a final tip. Please check out the teacher takeaway PDF. Virtuoso is a wonderful story to illustrate a point, right? Written by Herbert Goldstone in 1953. This robot basically turns out to be this amazing musician, okay? He learns how to play the piano overnight, and the maestro is like, oh my gosh, the whole world needs to know about this. But the robot then refuses to play. And the human is so sad, this is not going to happen. You know what the robot tells him? He says, the piano is a machine. It's not a machine. To me, yes, I can translate the notes into sounds at a glance. From only a few, I'm able to grasp at once the composer's conception. It's easy for me. He also says, the robot, this music is not for robots. It is for man. To me, it is easy, yes, but it was not meant to be easy. And that's the end of the story. Okay.
Love it.
Read the story. It's a good one.
The question we have from Lori is, I agree with you on the importance of grammar, but now students can achieve that with the use of AI. How do we fight for students learning these rules on their own?
It's your human potential. Do you want to grow and develop and reach potential or not? It's like you're given a brain, you're given these opportunities. Why squander them? It's like to be the very most you can be, right? Why? It's about pushing the human limits. It's like, well, Olympians, if you could say, well, I can drive a car. Yes, but like somebody wants to run as fast as they can. I think it's about exploring human potential. And in this case, it's your own individual potential, right? You want to have that knowledge. Also think of like Jurassic Park. I love movie analogies, but the whole idea is if you're gonna, you have to get knowledge and then you have the responsibility and then you own it. If you get information without having done the labor to really acquire it, you don't really own it. It's to make it fully yours and to be fully empowered by it, you have to learn it. And it's about being empowered by those choices. You cannot make confident choices if you don't know your subject matter content.
For sure. The other one, the other comment was all good ideas, but many students at my post-secondary institutions do not feel they need to learn grammar anymore because they can just put their writing in AI and have it fix it for them, so they don't even take our classes. And we saw a lot of comments like this in the chat, so maybe we can address it. Thank you.
Virtuoso made you cry. Yes, yes. You can find it online. Just empower. It's about empowering yourself and just really, we are a wonderful human package. Why not explore the very most that we're capable of in all ways? Don't you want to grow and reach your full potential? It's like a flower or tree that could have grown more if exposed to like sunshine and all of that. We have the opportunities to do it. Why deny ourselves this opportunity to grow and to expand our mind? It's like my son who read the book Viktor Frankl. You could have gotten a ChatGPT summary, but by having read it, he knew the story. And it empowered him, not just in the classroom, but also lately when he took his trip to Auschwitz. That was part of his experience. You never know what future rewards you're going to gain by the seeds you plant today. Plant those seeds, right? You say, why? Just go to the store and buy a flower pot or buy that. Like, you plant the seeds, you nurture them, they will grow, and you will have a richer garden than the person who is just relying blindly on ChatGPT, you know?
Yes. I have another one that says, is there any rule to make or understand perfect form or verb like past form in the Q&A?
The perfect forms.
Yes, a rule to understand perfect form or verb like past form.
Are we talking about modals or other verbs?
Not sure, just
Okay,
real.
so just remember perfect forms like past perfect and present perfect, those serve a purpose, right? The truth is, past perfect. I remember one of our wonderful colleagues, Ellie Hinkle, she passed, but she once argued that we don't need the past perfect. We do. It serves a purpose, but we don't need it as much. We can often get away with the simple past. Americans love convenience, so in American English, we often use the simple past and don't use the past perfect or even the present perfect. We like to say, did you do it already? Yes, I did it. I already did it, rather than I've already done. I've just done it. We say, I just did it. We love the simple past. It gives us that convenience. With perfect modals I was referring to earlier, though, I still feel it feels unnatural in American English to make predictions with perfect modals. I think the most natural use and the most common use is for expressing regrets, like I should have done it, I could have done it, or speculation. Someone might have taken them, something like that. And again, there's what books or AI could say. You can acknowledge forms and say, I'm not saying it's wrong, but let's talk about what sounds natural based on what we know, based on our feelings and experience. And again, we're tapping into us as humans, our experience. And so AI can say one thing, but I have the confidence in making my choice of whether I'm going to accept or reject. And I'm going to teach my students ultimately what feels right and natural to me.
Hey, thank you. I think we're on time. So thank you everyone for participating. We'll be sending you a link to the recording, certificates, and teacher takeaways. And I don't know, Jennifer, if you have anything else to close the
No,
session.
just to say thank you. Should I stop sharing? We'll see all your lovely faces there. Okay.
Great. Thank
Thank
you
you.
to everyone. Have a great evening.
Happy Grammar Day.
Happy Grammar Day.